2017. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. We welcome you tonight to our school board meeting of the Lake Central School Corporation, where it is our goal to guide students to be self-directed learners and productive members of society. Mrs. Nowacki over there in the blue has sign-up sheets. We now have two opportunities for you to address the board. One opportunity is earlier in the agenda, and it would be for agenda topics. So if there's something on the agenda that you'd like to talk about before we make a vote, you would sign up with her. Similarly, at the end of the meeting, there will be an opportunity for you to address the board if you'd like. And she has both of those sign-up sheets over there. Okay? Thank you. Any questions? All right. Moving ahead, and thank you all for being here tonight. And Dr. Varaca will go with the approval, deletions, and additions.
Thank you. Seeking approval of the revised board agenda at your workstation. So in addition to what you received last week, under Roman numeral 7A, we've added the middle school ISMA recognition. Under Roman numeral 7B, an updated to Mr. Gandolfi's personnel recommendations. And under Roman numeral 7F, an addition action item under Mr. Ledger's thing for the Kaler Middle School Control Panel.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And motion carries. Thank you. Mrs. Lesentine, any correspondence?
There is no correspondence at this time.
All right, no correspondence. Liaison committee updates. Mr. Marshall, I think you have two that you're on. Do you have any to report?
Under the Westlake Joint Managing Board, we had previously in May, and we have a hiatus now through the summer. Our next meeting will be the latter part of September. I'm going to defer to our director, who's with us at the front table here, Rebecca or Becky. If there's anything I've missed in terms of the last meeting, please feel okay.
No.
And as far as personnel interview committee, I've had no activity recently. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Marshall, do you know the date of that meeting in September?
I knew you were going to ask me
We
that.
are waiting to get our calendar sent. We need
that
some
was
feedback from the administrators in Munster.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll
Thank
get
you.
that to you as soon as we have it.
Okay,
All right.
very good. And Mr. Baxo is not here tonight, so Mrs. Seuss, do you have any to report on your committees?
No.
All right, and Mrs. Lesentine?
None at this time.
All right, and I have nothing on legislative. We have something that we're planning for late July, and I'll tell you more about that at our next meeting. Nothing for Lake Central Education Foundation, other than we're continuing to move forward. We're looking forward to helping the Science Olympiad in January with their invitational. And with the Wellness Committee, I wanted to report that at the last Wellness Committee, Miss Gladys Redinger had been to a training session along with Mrs. Talent, and they will be updating our school board policy relating to wellness in the very near future. Okay, any questions? All right, moving on. Official school board business.
Okay, seek approval of the minutes and the payroll claims and extracurricular expenditures you received in your packet last week.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Cindy, did you have a question on anything?
I did. For check number 175291 for $1,840 for Gobert Auto.
That was an incident where we had a gate that flew open at Coling while a parent was dropping off their child, and that gate flew open and hit that individual's car. Talking with our insurance company, we believe that it was in our best interest to fix his vehicle.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question? All right, thank you. All right, any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Are there any public comments regarding action items on the agenda? No? All right. Official school board business, regular agenda, Dr. Bracco.
Okay, so for our first item, we are going to recognize some students and staff members for some fine efforts here during the spring semester, and I'd ask the board to reassemble in front. And I think up first is someone from the high school, Mr. Beck, to talk about academic Super Bowl.
I'd like to make a short comment. I'm going to refrain from standing here. Medically, I'm having some issues about standing for a protracted period of time, so it's, I hope everybody understands. Whatever, that's fine.
I'd like to take this time to recognize the Lake Central High School Academic Super Bowl team, the English team members. This is the first time in many years that we've qualified for state. It happened to be the day of prom, so the girls who attended actually went down in the morning and then came back in the evening due to time constraints. It was a very quick day for them in the turnaround. They've done an outstanding job. They worked very hard. The three team members we have are Gabrielle Hay. Gabrielle, you want to come on up? Rachel Gazelle.
Thank you.
Joel Gazelle. And then Ms. Clark, your teacher, we also have a recognition for. Like a big round of applause for our English academic teacher.
So can you tell us a little bit about the competition? Where was it held, and what type of things did you do in this competition?
It was held in Purdue, West Lafayette. We had all the stuff we had to work with. We had to read one book, which was A Tale of Two Cities, and then 3 poems. And we answered a lot of questions based off those poems that were pretty in-depth with the book and the works in general.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you like the book, A Tale of Two Cities?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that, and thanks, parents. Would
Are
you
there
like-
parents out there that can
would you like
stand
to
up
stand?
of these wonderful?
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Mr. Beck.
Then our next recognition will be for the Lake Central High School Science Olympiad team, who received the 3rd place in state this year. The Science Olympiad team is a very hardworking, dedicated program, often giving up their weekends, late evenings. They are there quite frequently. I can always expect to see them in the hallways, practicing with their flying gadgets that they build and so forth. Because they can surprise you at times. They do an outstanding job. They are working to try and host a tournament at our site, which will be the first time ever with our new facilities. They're working very hard to get that together. Mrs. Mark does an outstanding job as well. So at this time, I'd like to present Anna McQuaid. Dan Watt. Anne Marie Hemmerly. Marina Kareem. Nikki Gazelle. Lydia Lopez.
Way to go, English and science.
Congratulations.
Paige Brunmeier. Michael Biancardi. Sophia Mohiedin. Alyssa Areola. Jordan Sprague.
Congratulations.
Mitchell Witt. Alexander Glass. Sarah Hermanek. George Nemler. Rachel Cazal.
Good job.
Arun Hayden. Michael Shank. Rachel Arnold. Alan Wright. Madison Payne. Raj Patel. Mohammed Tiger. Ian Flynn. Green Carr. Rachel Eater.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Joe Kubitz. Maxwell Hill. Lucas Rome. And then finally, we would like to recognize Miss Mary Jo Martin, our Science Olympiad sponsor.
Congratulations.
So let's give all these kids a And we also have some parent liaison awards. Miss Gianna Wada. And then, thank you, Ilyas Mohideen, are you?
Congratulations.
Big round of applause to all of Special thanks to the parents because, you know, the kids give up a ton of their time. Their parents also volunteer and they help build sets and they do a lot of things for them as well. So, special round of applause.
Parents, please stand up. Thank you. Parents, let's see you. Come on, please stand up.
We so appreciate it in so many ways because it just adds so much enrichment to the students. So thank you for that dedication.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, now we can move to
There's not many kids left in the audience, is there?
Good evening. About a month ago, our band and choirs competed in the ISMA competition, which we do every year. We have an excellent and outstanding program at all three middle schools. Our first recognition is for the Grimmer Band Program. Mr. Lewis is our director. He took two bands to ISMA this year, the 7th and the 8th grade. Both achieved gold with distinction. So, Mr. Lewis, if you could please.
All right.
Great job.
Oh. Really appreciate it. Way to go. Thank you.
And from Clark Middle School, Mr. Walton, our band director. 8th grade this year received Group 1 gold with distinction as well. So congratulations, Mr. Walton.
Bracco.
All right, for Taylor Middle School, Lita Lopez is our band director, and she did a combined 7th and 8th grade, and also received gold with distinction.
All right.
Congratulations.
And continuing with Clark's choir program this year, Mrs. Arroyo, if you'd please come forward. She did 7th grade choir group 2, also gold with distinction this year.
For Taylor,
Good job.
Thank you.
for Taylor Middle School, our choir director in her first year at Taylor, Courtney Callis, gold with distinction for her 7th grade choir.
All right.
Good job.
Did you bring your parents this evening?
Any parents? No, I don't think so.
It's a bit of a drive.
Well, thank you for all your efforts. It's awesome.
We are streaming live if you want to say hi.
But on behalf of the school board, we thank you for your dedication to quality, and it's so obvious, and it's so important as we develop these children, because there's nothing better than the discipline you get from music, or science Olympiad, or math, or science, or English. Yeah, I mean, just the dedication, the discipline, and that's such a life skill that's missing with so many people in today's world. So thank you for that leadership. Have a good
Thank you.
summer. And you're probably practicing band already, right? Yeah. Yeah. Is that it? All right. Thank you.
If you have to get on to other activities, this is a good time to exit stage back. You're certainly welcome to stay for the remainder of our business meeting.
Very nice. Okay, I think we're ready to move forward then.
Okay, for my second item, I just wanted to keep the board abreast of this year's 2017 wellness screening, which will take place the day before the first teacher day, which is August 10th, and August 11th, which is the first teacher day. We have it set up for 2 days. We try to get as many classified staff and full-year staff members in on the 10th to keep the slots available. It does run from 6 to 9. I also want the board to be aware that we will be doing the wellness incentive again this year. You know, 2 years ago, the second part of the wellness incentive was to complete a health risk assessment. Last year, it was to participate in the health fair. This year is going to be to do a group quiz regarding wellness and benefits, an awareness quiz, if you will, with either your grade level team at elementary or your department, if you're departmentalized. So you have the document. If you have any questions about it, I'd be glad to answer them. I just wanted you to hear it from me before we send out that announcement to staff later this week.
So did you say the first teacher day is August 11th?
I believe so.
What? Is that it?
Yes.
Friday.
And first student day is
The 14th.
14th?
Friday.
Wow.
Unless Al changed it.
No.
All right. Any questions about wellness for Dr. Bracco? Okay.
And I do want to clarify one thing that was mentioned earlier in the meeting. The two representatives who went to the Wellness Summit are going to be working on the administrative regulation regarding wellness, not the school board policy.
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
And my third item is to just, I sent out the focus group data from our strategic planners, and while the data collection work is not finished because we have a third leg, and that is to do a town hall forum on August the 8th to share information with our stakeholders regarding technology and facilities and finance. I wanted you to have the piece that we got back recently for your review when we get that last part, because we're going to end that town hall meeting with a survey from the participants. Then that will help us to formulate plans for the future, which is the goal of our strategic plan from the start, to find out what people want more of, and to figure out how we can meet those needs of our constituents. Any questions about the report? Certainly, if you don't have them tonight, you can send them to me later, but if you have questions, I'll do my best to speak to them.
Could I get a copy, a hard copy?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. That's a lot of comments in there, and I know my little printer at home would not handle that well, so I appreciate that. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you. Moving on to Mr. Gandolfi.
Okay, my first item is to seek the approval of the personnel recommendations in the original as well as the revised packet, which was at your station this evening.
Move to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Take a moment to look at this, because I know we came in from our meeting late, so there's a lot of additions that have been added.
And if you'll notice, the certified appointment for board meetings is attached. The revised is attached as well, which is the sheet that we have previously agreed that we would provide based on the new folks.
Correct.
The board meeting approval, final column on the right. So if you look down there, those are the individuals that are in the packet this evening.
Okay. So, it's very nice to have this, Mr. Gandolfi. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion on the table. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And motion carries.
Thank you. My second item is just to bring to your attention, no approval needed, but this is the new, based on the federal regulations, this is the new lunch price for 2017-18. If you remember, the federal government basically stated that we need to continue to raise lunch prices 1 dime a year until the paid meal price is equivalent to what the federal government reimburses for a free meal. So we are still in that window of increasing those lunch prices 1 dime across the board. So you see in that memo that I provided, you see the current 2016-17 price and then the proposed price for 2017-18 based on the requirement. And everything goes up 1 dime. Any questions?
No questions? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. My third item does seek your approval, and this is the extension of our third-party purchasing company that we use. Once we approve this, I will be bringing you additional approvals for milk as well as some other food items for our contracts. But this is the third-party purchasing agreement with Member Resource Representative.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, discussion? This is similar to what we've done in past years.
Correct.
Correct, okay. All right, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. My third item, I've provided you with 4 board policies. Board Policy 1521, Board Policy 3121, Board Policy 4121, and Board Policy 8121. This is the update based on the legal requirement now in House Bill 1079 that requires us to do a background check on all employees at a minimum of once every 5 years. So in order to implement that law, that becomes effective July 1st of 2017, we needed to revise our board policies. The reason that there are 4 of them is because some of those board policies apply to only certificated, some apply to classified, some apply to custodial. So it took all 4 of those board policy revisions to actually meet House Bill 1079, which I will implement moving forward here in the next couple weeks. So tonight, I seek your approval for the revision of those 4 board policies that were in your packet.
May I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
For the background checks?
Yes.
Is it just items related to like children, things like that? Is it all sorts of activities? What types of items would we be looking for?
It is a full criminal background check, so it would be any, it basically will bring up anything.
Okay.
As well as Department of Child Service check. So it's a full background check that's
And
required.
whose eyes get to see these documents? Because I'm sure there's things that people may have in their past that might not affect working conditions, but...
We, my office, so there's 3 of us, we provide all the data we submit for the background check, and the data comes directly back to us in a log-in secure site. So there are only 3 of us. Any background check that is questionable comes to my desk, and then I take it from there and investigate, speak to folks if we have to, and then move forward in that direction. So as I explained a little bit earlier, we have chosen to do 25% of our employees over the next 4 years. And now that massive spreadsheet of 1,300 plus folks will just continue to roll after that. So once we get all of our employees done the very first time, then 5 years later, you'll be done again, 5 years later, you'll be done again. And that's the new requirement in the law. Until they were to change it, that's how the system will be set up.
And do we have to pay fees for those background checks?
We do pay a fee. We have, the Lake Central School Corporation, Dr. Bracco and I did negotiate, are in the process of discussing with the negotiating team that we will pay for our current employees. Now, brand new employees that come on board, like everyone in your packet this evening, they have already passed their background check. Now, they're not employees of ours. They pay for their own, okay? Then after they become employees of ours, 5 years later, everybody on this sheet tonight, 5 years later will have to do it again. It will be the corporation's responsibility to pay for that. And at this point in time, we are looking at about a line item budget of right around $10,000 that Mr. James and I have budgeted for that item.
Is that per year?
That's per year.
Any other questions?
Yes. Al, you may not know the immediate answer to this, but being more familiar with background checks, once they're instituted, application-wise, if an individual, nothing to do with our school corporation, but let's say they're in litigation that is protracted and extended over months, potentially years, does that ever come up because you're innocent until you're proven guilty?
That's correct. Now, that does come up on the background check. It'll come up and say that there...
It will?
Yes, it will. It comes up and tells me that there is something pending. I will be able to tell what that pending case is. And then whenever that case is resolved, either by a dismissal or a resolution or mediation, then that comes up the next time I run that check. So there is some, there's some work even from our department in regards to, anything that comes back that may have some pending action to it.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all that information.
No problem.
So
Any additional comments?
Yeah, any other questions? Are other school corporations picking up the cost of this, or do you know?
I do not know.
Okay, so it's the local decision whether they
It is
pick
a
it up
local
or
decision.
the teachers are
Right.
responsible for it? Well,
Correct.
I'm glad
The
you-
law, it's written in House Bill 1079 that a school corporation may make the employee pay the freight of the complete background check unless it is decided by the local school corporation to pick up that cost. And when we met with our folks, we just believe at this point in time, it's better.
It's a good thing to do, correct. And how much is the fee for each person? Do you know?
It's still $10 a
30,
person.
no, it's
I
over
thought it
30
was
now.
40.
Because now it's the full
Holy
I
cow.
thought about
34 something.
81 or 34, 81 or 34, 86.
It's an odd number.
Something like that.
It
It is an odd
and
number.
change.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you go in more in depth, if I remember correctly, on the board policy, if there's child abuse in the past, is that correct?
Correct.
Did I see
That's all included now.
That won't be a problem.
Right.
Okay.
And please, realize that folks that volunteer for us, PTO members, people that walk into the building and work with our students every single day, their background check is a limited criminal history check. This is a much more
Oh,
in-depth.
that's why.
That's
Gotcha.
correct. And that's why I wanted to mention that, is I don't want to confuse the two.
Right.
Folks that volunteer for us, our PTOs, anybody that goes on field trips, supervise children, they will continue to do the limited criminal background check. This is a much more robust, in-depth check of everywhere you've ever lived.
So it goes across the
Goes
country?
across to the country. Correct.
Okay, any other questions? All right, so we need a motion and a second for that, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have it on the table now. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? And motion carries. Thank you.
And my final item was just for your information, and it is a letter that was drafted by Mrs. Castaneda, Mrs. Grimala, and myself that went to some folks that are teaching in some content areas where we need them to move forward and become highly qualified in that area. So I did want to send you a copy of what we will be sending those folks. It's around 25, 26 individuals who will receive this letter, and they'll have some time to shore up their license.
When does that letter go out? Soon, or has it already?
It is being addressed currently.
Okay, so it's going out real soon.
Yes, very
Okay.
soon.
And are there any questions about that?
Is there anything we need to worry about with teachers that are not highly qualified currently in the classroom?
No, I mean, we have time, we have a little bit of time, but our intent behind the letter is to put a little more urgency with those folks. We have talked to everyone on that list previous, but when you don't have something in writing, it sort of seems like, was that a year ago or 2 years ago they talked to us about that? So we did want to get something formal. A copy of this letter will be in everyone's file, showing that the school corporation has done its due diligence, and I don't believe we'll have a problem moving forward. I think that most folks will get this cleaned up pretty quickly.
So they kind of know it's coming, so it's not going to be a big surprise.
They know
Because
it's
you've
coming.
talked with them.
Right.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Gandolfi. Moving on to Director of Primary Ed.
Thank you. My first item is to seek your approval of the professional leave requests that were included in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? And motion carries.
Thank you. My second item is just to share a piece of good news with you. Recently, 3 Lake Central elementary schools were given the 4-star school designation, and those schools are Bibbich, Heifer, and Watson. The announcement came out after Memorial Day, so we weren't able to gather the staff and have them come here so we could honor them, but we will do that in the fall once school resumes again. But I wanted you to know, in case you read it or hear anything about it. My last item is a combined item with Mrs. Castaneda. As you know, this school year we added an elementary and secondary math coach. And their job was to support teachers as we implemented a new math curriculum. As I've worked with teacher groups throughout the school year, I've heard nothing but praise for the coaches and appreciation that we put them in place to support them. They were a great resource and a lot of help for them. But to give you a little bit more information, I've asked Trish Geis, our elementary coach, to just share a little bit about how her year went.
Okay, so we implemented
Do you
investigations.
want to stand so we can, or you can come up here if you'd like, so you're on camera. Yeah.
Look at you. You can stand right in front of me, Trish.
Don't be shy, Trish.
So this year we implemented investigations in K through 4, and we piloted it in 5th grade. I was there from the beginning to the end. It was a big transition year and a very successful year it was a transition year for students, parents, and teachers. the idea behind it is to take the shift away from the teacher standing up in front of the students and teaching the lesson and the student just listening and, you know, I do, we do, you do. So now the students are engaged, they're taking the responsibility for their learning. They're working in teams, they work in partners, they do a lot of workstation projects together, and we do number talks, which is, it's an awesome way to get students to think about different strategies, efficient strategies, what works, what doesn't work. There's a lot of collaboration between the students, which I love, because the thing that we try to impress upon the students is that if they make a mistake, it's okay, because that's what mathematicians do. The thing is to identify through their discussion of the strategy that something might have gone wrong. And the other students are so respectful of it, and they applaud the student when they do come to that realization that maybe they made a little mistake. And that's what mathematicians do, and so that's what we're promoting. I've heard so many good things about, in fact, I was at a math curriculum meeting today, and a third grade teacher said to me that she's probably 23 years in, and she said every year at the end of the school year, she asks students what their favorite subject is, and they all said they love math. And she said she's never had that before.
No.
So my
Can you
role...
say that one more time, looking at me?
They love math. So my role was to, first of all, I wanted to build relationships with the teachers and trust. So I think we worked pretty well together. I did co-teaching, I modeled lessons for students, I did number talks, and the teacher could sit and watch me do the number talks and the interaction that goes along with the students. I provided a lot of resources that prove scientifically why we're doing what we're doing. We did some Title I parent nights to inform parents what we're doing. It was kind of funny, at the beginning of the year, I had a second grade parent raise his hand, and he said, I'm really struggling with the second grade math, and he said, and I'm a college educated man, and I don't know how to help my student with his homework. So he was going back to the standard algorithm, and I said, all you need to do is just put a post-it note on there, say, you know what, I'm struggling, and the teacher is not going to mark it off. And you know, we offered, we had a Title I night at Protzman, and it was a family, we had the families, we had pizza, cookies, and then we had teachers that volunteered, and we had like a family game night, so parents brought their kids, and so they were able to be exposed to what we're doing and the mathematical discourse that goes on instead of just telling them the answers. I mean, you want to build that productive struggle, because that's how students learn. Right now we're working on, Teresa and I are working on curriculum maps and pacing calendars for teachers, and we are also providing supplemental resources that actually work, like number talks, money talks. So they will be trained on that at the beginning of the year. I did quite a few professional developments. So at the beginning of the year, I did a professional development at each of the 6 elementary schools on the workshop model, so that they knew the premise behind that is students need to have repeated exposures and experiences with different concepts. So the idea of back in the day when we used to do centers, it was you would do one center on Monday, and Tuesday you'd go to the next center, and the third day they'd go to another center. But this, if the student wants to go back and do that workshop, I kind of lost my balance there. If they want to do the same workshop twice or 3 times, that's okay, because that's how they build that conceptual understanding of what they're doing. We also did a lot of PD on mathematical discourse and how you should be talking with your students and getting them to talk about things. And when you walk into a kindergarten classroom and you actually hear a student say, oh, well, that's the commutative property, and you're there 5 and 6 years old, and the vocabulary, the investigations vocabulary is amazing. And so we're including it in the curriculum calendar and the pacing map, so that they can go along, teachers can go along and highlight what they focused on, and make sure that they're covering all those vocabulary words, because it is vocabulary driven. I also did conferring for kindergartens through 2nd grade on how to confer with your students. Instead of just telling them the answers, it's getting them to think and turn and talk and have that discourse going on between students. We did some with 3rd grade and 4th grade. I did professional development with Becky's teachers and Allison's teachers, which was huge. It was great to have them all in the same room and see light bulbs going on, and even talking about when their teachers actually go to support a classroom teacher, they should not be doing, the teacher shouldn't be giving them the work and saying, well, they missed a day, this is what they should be doing. They're there for a reason. They need to take it back a couple grade levels, wherever they're at mathematically. And then I also helped with the pilot of investigations in 5th grade. I was in the middle schools doing that. And then we were piloting the Scout Observational Assessment app. I'm not sure how that's going to go. It was a free tool for us to pilot this year, so we went ahead and did it. I can't say I got a lot of positive feedback about it because it was a lot, and a lot of times the internet didn't work or they didn't have iPads. So they do also have assessment checklists, which I'm going to push the teachers to use more because you get so much information from those. Am I talking too much? No. Okay. Val and I both attended some PDs. We went to training for investigations. We went to training for iReady. We did a couple of PDs with Sharon Rack on algebra readiness. We're always doing webinars. I have a plethora of books that I'm reading. And we went to a math conference in Indianapolis specific for math coaches. And it was very refreshing to go because sometimes I'm a very structured person. I have to know exactly what I'm doing every day. And in this job, if a teacher calls me from one school and says, listen, I really need help in 2nd grade and I plan to go to Proximate, I try to get both in at the same time. But the premise or the thing that we walked away with is you're building trust and relationships with those teachers the first year. So we have a lot of great plans for next year. I'm excited about it. I wish I would have learned this way. I was at the library today working with 2 students, and one little boy did not want to come. And I told him, I was in your shoes. I was the one crying because I struggled at math. And the beauty of this math is it totally makes sense. And, I'm trying to get teachers and students to understand that it's flexible, it's creative, you can decompose and compose numbers as long as it makes sense to them and they can explain it. I think we've come a long way this year, and I think it's been a huge success. So I'm really excited to see what happens next year. Oh, and one more thing. So I did. How much time did you give me? I sent out an end of the year survey too, and the feedback overall was very good. Teachers were really impressed with the strategies students are using. They're not all using the same strategy, and they all are getting to start to understand that they're individuals, they learn differently, and so they have different strategies. And we talk about, so we'll call 2 to 3 students to come up and share their strategies, and then we move on to talking about which is the most efficient strategy. And I mean, you are literally watching light bulbs go off, and then they go back and they try those strategies. The one thing that I wanted to know is what they feel they need next year, and they're very interested in learning more about the FOSNO units. So we're going to be starting some professional learning communities where it's almost like an online college course. So I'll be developing those and getting them out to the grade level teachers because our goal is for each grade level to do a Kathy Fosno unit next year. So it's very exciting. So I don't know if you can tell I'm excited,
Well,
but I am.
no, just stay, Trish. We might have questions for you.
Oh, so sorry.
Are there any questions?
First of all, I'm going to say this is awesome because this is, I'm listening to you going, yes, that's what math is all about because it's so hard to get people to love math, and I love math, and I can see the math. I'm like, we can talk about this for hours. You've got
we really could. I could do a number talks.
So
I
that is so awesome
whatever you
to
want
hear.
Me to do.
Because math isn't all about the multiplication tables. It's all about problem solving and strategies and critical. It is about multiplication. Don't get me wrong, but
about
thinking is so awesome.
About math, about teaching multiplication. Prior to this, teachers were really upset that, not upset, but they get frustrated that their kids don't know their math facts. And we had Dr. Underwood in here, and she was an eye-opener, and she said they have to have that conceptual understanding before they can actually do the math, multiplication facts and understand it. They have to understand the math before they can actually move on to that. And that happens at the end of 4th grade, moving into 5th grade. So that, I think that you could see the sigh of relief in teachers going, oh, wow, okay, we'll work on the conceptual understanding. So.
No, that's great stuff. I'm so
Good.
happy to hear that. That's gonna, and it's funny because as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, oh, your teachers are so excited. And then when you get to high school, usually us math teachers are so left-brained that we're like, that is not fun. We want one way to do it, X equals 3, that's what. And so I know, see, you and I know it's a whole different world up there. So that's just making me
It's so
happy
exciting.
inside to hear
It
how
really is
excited
exciting,
they are.
and it's so exciting. Like when you tell the boys and girls, okay, we're going to do math now. They get so excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It really is. That's how it should be.
Good.
So Trish, can I ask you then, if you're training the Westlake teachers, which is a great idea, do the parapros have some training with this also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I want them to understand the mathematical discourse and the questioning strategies because they haven't been trained in that, and there was a little cross of them still doing the standard algorithm, and we are trying to eliminate that.
You want a common language, really,
Exactly.
and a common.
Right.
So then the Title I aids and all of them. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. You know what it reminds me of is it reminds me of just good brain research and the application of it, that we're all unique learners.
Right.
The idea of the Scout being a free tool, and you made the comment that students need repeated exposures. So with Scout being a free tool and not everybody was really with it, teachers, adults need the repeated exposures too. And we have to remember that, the adult learners, and how sometimes it takes us a while to grasp.
Right. We had
concepts.
glitches with the Scout app though because sometimes the internet was down or, it's just, I liked it because it was better than carrying a notebook around and flipping through papers. Everything was right there, and you had your whole class list, and you just slid everything over. You could take photos, you could take videos of their work, so if you go to an IAT, you have all that documentation.
But the frustration if the internet is down is, that's a huge one.
It is.
That's a huge one.
Right.
So maybe, was that in all the buildings?
I pushed it out to all 6. Yeah, I was supposed to do it like one teacher per grade level, and then when I found out that it was free and digital, I thought, why not have more teachers that use it? Nobody's going to know. So, oops. Now they do. So,
but that's interesting that we can do the I-step testing, and the computers don't go down. But
and I haven't heard anything about this, but I'd love to know more.
Anytime
there's something like this going on, I'd like to.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a charge this year. That was the one thing. So, I mean, it came with our Pearson Realize site. So.
Sounds like something to explore.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Trish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're
And Director of Secondary Ed, we're going to go to.
For my first item, just kind of piggybacking off of Teresa's, we are going to have our secondary math coach, Val Gardner, here to speak a little bit about her experience. She started off the year kind of being charged with grades 6 through 12, but then we had a transition where 5th grade came off Tricia's plate and went on to Val's, and so obviously with that range of subject expertise, she really focused kind of on 5th through algebra, geometry, and a little bit of algebra too, so she'll speak.
So I did work with grades 5 through 12, and it was a really exciting year. My structure was Monday I would generally spend at Clark, Tuesday I was at Kaler, Wednesday I would be at the high school, Thursday I spent at Grimmer, and then Friday was my float day, so wherever I felt I should be or maybe someone needed me, I would be at that school. A lot of the things that Trish and I did overlapped. We also had new textbooks this year. 5th grade was in iReady. The 6th through 8th grade was Big Ideas, which was wonderful because they had activities attached to them, much like the investigations with different ways of introducing lessons. So we worked with that a lot. And then at the high school, the honors classes also continued with Big Ideas, and then we had McGraw-Hill for the regular classes. So it was a lot for the teachers, but there were scope and sequence documents that were produced over the summer, which were extremely helpful. And just like Trish said, we did a lot of building relationships with teachers because they have to get to know you first before they trust you when you bring things to them. I felt it was my job and tried to support the teachers, provide resources. We had several long-term subs at the high school that I worked closely with, and I thought that was, hopefully very helpful to them, because sometimes to be thrown into a classroom that you didn't know you were going to be in, and it was all subject areas that I had been familiar with, so that was really a great experience. A lot of the professional development that I facilitated were the same types of things that Trish did, but in general we broke it up more by grade level. So I worked a lot with I-STEP prep for the high school teachers, and we created videos that the students watched during their PTE, and they had matching worksheets. And we had 13 videos which we'll be able to use year after year until I-STEP is either phased out, or we'll probably even still use them for our ECA when that goes back into place.
Wait.
Yes.
RCEA, what's that?
ECA.
ECA.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
end of course assessment.
Okay, yeah, I've got that. Okay.
So that'll be probably for Algebra 1 if that happens. I also ran professional developments for Algebra 1, Geometry, the high school special education teachers, and all of those included things kind of like Trish's with discourse and questioning. I always tended to bring a lot of resources to the teachers because I think high school, sometimes especially, they tend to be a little boring, and we want to get that more excitement and engaging in the classroom and students participating and doing more. So we did a lot of things like card sorts, whiteboarding. We introduced the Desmos graphing calculator, which is an amazing tool to explore math with. We also introduced GeoGebra, which is also another tool on the computer, completely free, that you can work with in geometry. We did a lot with manipulatives, with algebra tiles and geoboards, and we did a lot of online programs that were free that will engage students through games and flashcards and that sort of thing. And the teachers, they all liked them, and it was nice because so many times as a high school teacher you go to professional development and you feel like nothing applies to you. You feel like everything is elementary. And so it was nice to be able to gear it towards the middle school and high school teachers. And then it's also nice too, as a coach, you can go and follow up in their classroom and say, do you want me to help you out with this? I can come in and work on this with you. And everyone was extremely receptive. I really enjoyed it, and it was great to see the classrooms come alive for most people. At the middle school, I also did a lot of planning on every level, 5th through 8th grade, with all of the teachers, and Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. I attended most of the professional developments that Trish did also. Some of the ones that were geared more towards high school, we went to an I-STEP 1 at Hobart High School, and I attended the Indiana Council for Teachers of Mathematics last fall, which I thought was invaluable. That's where I actually got a lot of my information that I used for the upcoming year. So that one was a great one. And then did a lot of webinars. I did a lot of webinars with Texas Instruments for graphing calculators and USA Test Prep, which is another program we're going to be using next year more. And like Trish, I surveyed my teachers at the end of the year and found out that the high school teachers, they used about 10 to 12 of the I-STEP videos and were very pleased with them. The students thought they were helpful. They thought they helped them prepare for I-STEP. And the middle school teachers reported using an average of about 22 activities during the year in their classroom that they previously had not used. So I thought it was an extremely successful year. And it was really a pleasure, and it was great to see, because I've been in high school for a very long time. It was wonderful to see 5 through 8. I really have an appreciation for what comes before the 9 through 12.
Absolutely. Awesome. Any questions? Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna contain myself. I'm loving it. I will talk to you separately because we can talk for hours.
Absolutely.
I love what you're doing. Absolutely love it. That I apologize. That I will say.
I know it, and I love it
further,
too.
I'll get too excited.
It was very refreshing.
Yes,
It was
it's
great.
wonderful. I know. I said this is all great
If I
stuff.
could interject for just a minute, it was pretty powerful to see Val take, when we had our high ability audit, there was actually videotaping that was done in some of the classrooms for the people who were here evaluating the program. And one of our middle school teachers does a great job with mathematical discourse, starting off with that conceptual conversation. And so it was amazing to see Mrs. Gardner go in and show this video to the high school teachers and say, listen, this is what is heading up towards you. This is what we need to be prepared for the kids to do, because they want to be engaged in that way. And that was huge.
Yeah. And I will say we're all over Desmos, GeoGebra, all those were one-to-one district, you guys know that, and that of course comes back to making sure that we have the technology for the kids, because these are amazing programs and they do bring math to life. And it is so awesome to watch a kid be able to understand the concepts of math without having to graph it on a piece of graph paper and be able to tell you why something is, and maybe not be able to graph it physically, but understand the concepts. So
And I think for teachers too, I mean, I am not, technology is not my thing. I work at it,
Sure.
and once I learned how to do GeoGebra, I thought it was absolutely amazing. And it's nice to have someone to encourage the teachers and go with them and say, hey, let's do this together. And they're more likely to do it than they see it one time and then they forget about it. So I thought it was extremely powerful, and I'm so looking forward to next year.
So when I find out from my district when our people are coming up on Desmos and GeoGebra, I might have to invite you over.
Absolutely, I would love to.
Okay, perfect.
No problem.
So I have a question for you. If I remember correctly, there was a change in your assignment. Now,
Correct.
can you explain that to me?
They actually took my assignment, I was 5 through 12. They've now split it into 5 through 8 and 9 through 12. I am going to go back to the high school, so I will be 9 through 12 full-time, and I will be half-time teacher, half-time coach.
At the high school?
At the high school. So on Blue Day, I will assume my coaching role, and on White Day, I will be teaching honors geometry, which I taught for many years before last year.
Okay. And so then the 5 through 8 is?
I believe it was on your board packet
Okay.
for tonight.
Yeah.
Mr. Scott King, who's
Right.
over at Kaler Middle School, is going to be assuming that position.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to working with Scott because, you know, I got to know him a lot this year, and we'll work very well together.
He actually was the wonderful video that we showed.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, cool.
And Mrs. Lessentine, you'll appreciate this, it was his students discovered factoring by grouping on their own. It was really cool.
See, that makes me all tingly inside.
Yeah.
It just does. I love that stuff.
So where was NCTM? Was it in Indianapolis?
It
or-
was in Indian.
It was the Indiana Council of Teachers
Oh,
and
the-
Mathematics. Yes, it was in Indiana.
Okay, so the
NCTM
ICT
actually this year is going to be in Chicago, so we're super excited to
Oh, the
see a bunch of
NCTM
teachers
is?
Yeah.
this
Oh,
fall.
cool.
Yes.
Very nice. Very
Look
nice.
for that on your professional leaves.
Yeah, so I'm going to plant a seed or an idea in you, and maybe we already have this going on at the high school, I don't know, but in our elementary schools and in our feeder schools, we have math bowls, and we do the math bowl competition, and of course we have the English or language arts here tonight. I mean, do we have a math bowl team? And at the high school we do?
Yes.
Oh,
There's
okay.
actually, the academic super bowl encompasses the 4 core areas plus fine arts.
Okay.
But they don't
so-
have like a mathletes team like Illinois has, is I
No,
think what you
but there is a math part of the competition.
Right.
The English one actually advanced to state.
That's the academic bowl, I
Right.
think, and then there's also, I think, what they call the math bowl and the, yeah, there's 2 separate entities there, so. All right, yeah, because I think it's important to get those children again.
Absolutely.
And then you work with the Westlake and everybody's getting these
Mhm.
philosophies.
And I was in a lot of the Westlake classrooms, and I enjoyed working with them, and we have some excellent teachers that teach math for Westlake.
I've heard that. I've heard
We really
that.
do.
I've heard that. All right, any other questions? Sorry, Howard and Cindy, this is kind of the area that we love, and Cindy really loves it, or Sandy really loves it, so. But thank you for sharing, both of
Thank
you.
you.
We appreciate it very much. All right.
For my second item, I am seeking your approval for the professional leave requests as presented.
Move to approve?
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And for my last item, I am seeking your approval for the field trip requests as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, and moving on. Mrs. Gramala.
My first item tonight is to seek your approval for the professional leave request included in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries.
Okay, I am going to multitask for a minute while we get ready for my next item.
Multitask.
I am. I wanted to share a video with all of you that showcases some of our peer mentors from Lake Central High School. So I don't know how aware you are. I need to sign in.
Do we need to move for the audience? then?
No, because we'll have it on
You
both.
can see it on both screens.
Oh, so they can turn around and see the back. Will we be in their way?
No.
No, there's two screens.
You can see the back.
Okay. I was
But you're
thinking
saying,
that.
can they see
Can they
us,
see,
though?
yeah, can they see through us? It's just so
We had a little bit of a technical difficulty here with the live stream, so bear with me here. I thought I was all ready to go. Had a problem. Kayla and Clark, and then also here at Lake Central High School. And actually, we have peer mentors as low as our fourth graders at home. So those are our typically developing students who come in and work with our students with more significant special needs. This year at Lake Central High School, we had 152 students who served as peer mentors. And so they take this class as an elective and participate in one of 5 of our special education classrooms. And they serve as academic coaches for our students. They help them with social skills. And it's really a very positive experience for everyone involved. And so the video I'm going to share with you today was put together by Bridget Baird, who's a teacher here at Lake Central High School. And so this is primarily the peer mentors that were in her class. But she happens to be very good at making videos, and this was really, I enjoyed watching it, and so I'm going to share it with all of you. But I wanted to share, she made videos for each senior who was leaving, specific to that senior, and then I asked her to send those home to those students' parents because they were so powerful to watch. And so one of the parents replied, so I just want to read that to you. I didn't ask their permission, so I'm not going to say the student's name, but thank you so much for sharing this with us. It makes us very proud of him. I know that being a peer mentor has meant an awful lot to him, and I think he learned a lot about himself this year. This video has really warmed my heart. Thank you again. So that was from one of our senior students' parents. So you can just take a minute and enjoy this. You'll see some familiar faces while you watch.
To be humble, to be kind, it isn't giving love peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are loved, we
students who serve as peer mentors. And some of these kids, you'd pass them in the hallway and would never expect them to have the level of caring and patience that they do for their peers that they're working with. And this is such a welcoming school for these students, and we appreciate that. So I hope this video shows all of that. And that's all.
Very good. So Rebecca, when they had the basketball games, were that was these type of peer mentors that was?
Yeah,
they
some
were
of
helping
those
the
are
kids?
students who are peer mentors. That was also our Best Buddies chapter
Okay.
that
Okay.
supports basketball as well.
Best Buddies is different than the peer mentors?
Yes, because there could be students who are peer mentors that are not part of Best Buddies.
Oh.
Best Buddies is an extracurricular after school.
Oh, all right, very good. Well, that's even better to know that they.
A lot of the
Well,
students
it's
cross over, and I will say too, we've had teacher candidates come back to us who now have degrees in special education, and they've said that they've started as peer mentors in high school.
That's cool.
So that's a really exciting thing for us to
See
hear
how
too.
you're developing individuals and future people, future educators. That's awesome. All right, any questions, comments? All right, thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. And Mr. Ledger,
Thank you. Tonight I have 4 items, 3 I'll be seeking your approval on. My first item is to seek your approval to award and execute the contract for the parking lot restriping throughout the corporation. I'd like to award that to Site Services in the amount of $42,392.
So moved.
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries.
Thank you. My next item is to seek your approval to award and execute the contract to resurface and pave the east main parking lot at Kaler Middle School. I'd like to award that contract again to Site Services with the low bid of $88,239.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries.
Thank you. My third item is to seek your approval for and execute the contract for the Kaler Middle School HVAC controls. I'd like to award that contract to Automatic Logic for $265,000. I will note that if you saw on the bid sheet, Automatic Logic worked very hard with myself and NIPSCO throughout the bid process. And my addition to the agenda tonight was the incentive contract from NIPSCO, and we were going to give $52,606 worth of rebates at the end of the project. So the total project cost would be $212,394 when it's all said and done. And we may even be able to get a few more incentive dollars once the system's up and running. So
Excellent, excellent. Move to approve.
Second.
So, Mr. Ledger, then, the low bid is Precision?
no, the low bid would be Automated Logic, because when we're all said and done, it's going to be $212,394. And that also includes the alternate number 1 with Automated Logic of the CO2 and humidity sensors, which Precision did not bid.
Oh, I see.
They did not bid.
They didn't do the alternate?
No, no.
Okay. Okay, and they had the opportunity to
Yes.
bid it, and they chose not
Yes.
to. All right, that explains it. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries. Thank you for explaining that.
No problem. My last item is a quick update on the salt storage building. This afternoon, we had the final inspections with the town of St. John, and we received all of the approvals, and I can pick up the certificate of occupancy permit tomorrow. So I'll be picking that up tomorrow. So
Okay. Any questions? And how's it going with the sign then? Are we,
I got the new revised drawing out to a contractor to get some things ordered, and it went out last week, so I should be hearing back from him at the end of the week.
do you have any anticipated date on
I
when we
told him
might?
we want it up by the start of school.
Okay, so soon.
Yes.
All right, very good. Any other questions for Mr. Ledger? All right, thank you. And moving on to Mr. Marino, Director of Technology.
My only item is to seek your approval for the professional leave request as presented.
Move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And Mr. James.
My first item is to seek professional leave requests for myself for 2 separate items. The first one is Indiana ASBO has decided to get a group of school officials together to help implement House and Road Act 1009. If you recall, that's the bill that is eliminating our general fund, capital projects, bus replacement, and transportation fund, and replacing those with the education and the operating fund. I was asked to be one of the 10 people to serve on this committee to kind of go over all the different pieces of the law and then develop professional development for our peers throughout the state and how to implement this. On your approval, I will start attending these committee meetings. Some might be able to be done remotely, but we're the first one scheduled for this Wednesday, and we'll see how that goes. And then my other professional leave request, and first of all, that would, upon your approval, those meetings would be scheduled periodically throughout the entire school year, again, with this group developing the professional development for our peers throughout the rest of the state. Kind of a trainer-trainer type of aspect. I'm anticipating that me representing this area would then come back and train many of the officials in the Northwest Indiana area. Then my second request is to attend the DOE's Office of School Finance Budget Workshop, which is held annually, and this year it's on June 28th. So I seek your approval on both of those leave requests.
Wholeheartedly move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Congratulations on your ability and honor to help implement these changes done by the legislators. We appreciate that leadership. And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries.
Thank you.
Sure.
And then my last item is to seek your approval on the donations, that were presented in your board packet.
And there's quite a few.
Move to approve.
Quite a few.
Yeah, very, very generous as always. I'm sorry. Move to approve, and did we have a second?
Second.
Yep. We have a motion and a second. Now, are there any questions or discussion? Okay. Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign?
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Very good. All right, thanks. Are there any public comments? No? All right, and board comments? Does anybody have any comments? Mr. Marshall, would you like to start?
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Hughes?
We do. I attended some end of the year programs, and one of them that came to my ears. Ms. Arroyo, was she yours? Special education music program, which was well put on, and it was a nice presentation. And I attended the 8th grade dance at Clark.
And did you dance?
You didn't see the YouTube video? I saw that. I posted it.
Oh, yeah.
Nice programs.
Okay. Mrs. Lesentine?
Congratulations to the retirees. I was ill at the last meeting, so I know that I didn't get a chance to say that, but we are so grateful for all the staff that we have out there and how hard you guys work and your dedication. I'm going to give a special shout out to Tonk, because I think Deep River Water Park would not be open without our lifeguarding students. And I know 4 or 5 of them myself, and they are having the time of their life because they were trained here. So that was absolutely wonderful. Math coaches, keep doing a great job. Thank you for all you do. Wellness committee, awesome job helping out our district. And then I know we have students going down to the Hobie Leadership Conference this weekend in Indianapolis. And so I wish them all safe travels, and our staff and students a safe summer.
Hobie. What is Hobie?
You're going to put me on the spot. Something O'Brien, Hugh O'Brien, something for youth leadership. I'm not really, my daughter's going. I'll let you know more when we get back, but I know it's a great opportunity. It's nationwide. I have friends in other states that their kids are attending them. It's a 4-day leadership conference for the students, so very excited.
Very nice.
Dr. Malkoff, can we
Yes,
back
sir.
up for a second? I would like to recognize the fact that we had an outstanding high school graduation yesterday on the weekend, on Sunday. And when we graduated almost 800 students and all the families, that gym was packed. And from my perspective, everything went off very, very well. I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in putting that together. And I appreciate my fellow board members for the processing of a little different approach to handing out diplomas. I thought it worked very well.
Yes, it did. It was very exciting, and it was so nice to see the elementary and middle school teachers that came to support the graduates. That was just such a nice, warm feeling. So share that with your colleagues, if you will, Mr. Beck. Wanted to make all the board members aware that a couple of us are wanting to go to the Campagna Hour, and the next one is July 26th at 4:30. It'll be a chance to tour the facility and see what Father Campagna developed years ago and how it's morphed and changed, and it's very informational. So July 26th at 4:30. Any of you would be welcome to join us at Campagna if you are interested. We are going to have some, at least in addition to the August 8th open house and community meeting, community forum, we're going to have another open house, because if you're like me, you run into people all the time that go, gosh, I'd really like to see that building. So we decided that we would have an open house, I should say a tour, not an open house, a tour. On 7/11, that's right, July 11th. So if you know anyone out there that would like to tour the building, 7/11, July 11th at 10 o'clock. And we come into door F, and we will meet in that area for the tour. So if you know alumni that are back, former students that are back, and they just have not been able to see it, that would be an opportunity. So if you're a Facebooker, please share that. If you're a tweeter, which I'm not, or twit, whatever, just do that, okay? I don't know what they call it. So I'm like with you, Val. I just kind of like get through that technology. That's all I do. So any other questions or any other comments? And Dr. Brocco.
Well, we're back here in 2 weeks. And remember, we only have one meeting in July. That's on the 10th.
The 10th of July?
That's all I have.
Okay.
Move for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Oh, there is an athletic banquet on Wednesday, too.
Oh, there is?
6 p.m. Spring sports.
Oh, where's that?
Same place it always is.